Hey everyone, welcome back to an exciting new episode of Bug Smashers. Before we begin, I heard some exciting news. We're getting a new Star Trek. It's going to be on CBS On Demand, but it's a new Star Trek. Hopefully, the reboots all coming out and about, Star Wars and all that fun stuff. Probably never going to get a Firefly, but we might get another Sequest. Oh yeah, that's going to be good. Don't judge me, Randy. Sequest. Out. Eh? No? Come on.
No, you nailed it.
Aw. Bug Smashers! Hey everyone, we are here in our fancy dancy Mark test level. Yay! So I'm in a Retaliator, and I am looking at a optimization that we could do with the HUD ray trace. Well, pretty much all the ray traces we're doing with our ships. So let's step into our fancy dancy visor code. Depending upon where the player is looking, it will send out a trace to kind of see to try to converge all your weapons all onto that point. That's if they have gimbals. And this is our beautiful ray world intersection or ray trace test. And we basically shoot it out every frame, like I said, to try to hit this little point with all your big ass guns. Now unfortunately, when I do this trace, so let's hop back into the game, we have to send in something called a skip list. So what this skip list is basically we want to ignore certain physical things. So if this is my beautiful ship and I'm a little sticky note of a player, when I'm shooting out my ray, I might be intersecting the ship a little bit. And now all my guns are going to try to point at the ship. We don't want that. So instead we have to send in that little skip list to say, hey, skip my vehicle and continue on. So that's what this beautiful little thing does right here, is we send in a bunch of physical entities to say, hey, skip this when you're performing the trace and find other things. And unfortunately, our skip list has 121 things inside of it, which is not pretty good to do every frame since we have to rebuild this skip list. So let's go, here we are. So every frame, we are adding the ship's physics, every actor, and every children. And these children it's basically inside our Retaliator, we have like dozens of entities that control the doors opening up, some brushes, bunch of things to make it look beautiful and interactable inside. And unfortunately, we're adding all of those plus all the players. And as you saw, we are at 121. Unfortunately, our limit is 128. And we don't want to be sending all this stuff every frame where there's dozens of other places that do the same test. It's very, very expensive. So what I have done and what I'm going to do now is we basically don't need to skip these things. Goodbye. And the player is another one. So we get rid of that in the vehicle. And the player is actually going through all of his item ports and adding his weapons and gear all into the skip list. Thing is, those items don't have physics, or if they do have physics, they're part of the player physics. So they're basically adding the player physics multiple times. So we don't really need this part. And this is the only exception that we'll need to have. Oh, excuse me. This is for if the player picks up something, we don't want, that thing to be in the test. So we'll skip whatever he's picking up. So the player should just skip his physics. So an actor, it will skip his physics and his ragdoll physics. That's what both of these guys are. And ideally, the vehicle, we just skip itself. So let's go back to our lovely visor code. And lucky for us, we already have this global grid setting on here. What this means is we're going to do the global grid. So here's my ship, and out here is the global grid. So we're going to ignore basically the innards of this ship, and we don't care about its its door inside, because we said this is the global grid. We're going to trace against the outside. In that case, we only need to trace against, send in the skip list of the vehicle and the actor himself, and nothing really else. And then now we still get the same result. So if I hit recode, oh no, recode has failed us. So we have to do a regular code. Compile. Yay! Alright, so that magical recode button worked. So now I'm going to put my breakpoint on, and as you can see, we only have 3 things to skip. We have the vehicle physics, and mic physics, and the ragdoll physics. So we have basically optimized a fun little ray trace. Awesome. There were some other things that I have done as well, which I could show you real quick. So that's all and good, but there may be some times where we have to trace for certain things, or want to skip certain things while we're still in that the grid. So we have that global grid setting, which means we'll just ignore everything but the we'll ignore the insides, but we'll get the outside. And what I have done too is in the interiors and on the vehicles, I have added basically, actually, where is it? I think I put it, let's look for that bad boy. There you are. So in some instances, we still want to do the trace, but we want to do it locally to the grid. But we may want to still ignore the inner collision, but we want to get, things like, I don't know, maybe another ship in a ship. So we could say, hey, we're the vehicle performing this trace, but I want to ignore the insides and all the players. Or you could just say, I want to ignore I'm the vehicle, I want to ignore all the players, or maybe you want to keep all of them. The next thing you could do is you could actually put in which grid you want to specify. So if I'm inside of here, we don't need to necessarily test everything out here. If I have, say, a weapon, I just want to test the inside, so I could tell the Ray world, hey, just test for this grid. So we've done a lot of optimizations to our traces, so it's not all general. It's more, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? Work for that problem. If we make it too general, you're going to have a problem like we're adding everything into this big skip list when we don't need to do that. And, performance intense when we're performing some of these rays per frame. So, hope you guys enjoyed my fun little spaceship, and cool. So, as you can see in this episode of Bug Smashers, we're doing some optimization with our ray traces. Finally got around to doing some of that stuff. This was pretty much we call it a Code Cleanup Fridays, where, all right, we have some fun little code that's not as good as it should be. So on Fridays, we're tasked to go and clean up those little bits. And it comes into a little fun thing, because it's like, hey, I got this thing running for production. It's not as best as I want, but on a Code Cleanup Friday, I'm going to make it better, because I get to have that time to do what I need to do. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.
This video made possible by the ICC Stellar Surveyors and subscribers like you.